All right, folks, we're here at the end of the week, but still the start of a new year. And we're talking about goals and things that we can put into practice and place to make this year a better year. We got our last topic here this morning. Let's get into this. This is the Youth Worker Daily. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Youth Worker Daily, where we hope to encourage youth workers like you with tools, tips, resources, and helps so that you thrive in your youth ministry. My name is Jay Hyam, and what a great week we've had talking about goals for the new year. Hopefully the last couple topics have been helpful and encouraging for you. Maybe you're already thinking about what your spiritual growth looks like. Maybe you've been wrestling with your own self-discipline. Maybe you've been diving into the idea of connecting with a network. But today we're going to do one last topic, and I think it's an important one. I saved it kind of for the last day here, because as we move through it, as we move forward this year, here's a component that I think we need as youth workers to adopt and say, this is something that needs to be part of my life in this new year. And honestly, it's going right back to Doug Fields. I actually said this in one of the earlier vlogs this week, but Doug Fields has impressed upon me the idea that leaders are learners. And so as we start this new year off, that's what I want to focus on today. What it looks like for us to be learners. Now, here's the deal. I started off youth ministry as a kid. I was in my teens when I started working with students. I was a junior in high school, and started working with a bunch of middle schoolers and a few younger high school students. And we started a youth group, and we got a couple of youth specialty books, and we did some ideas type stuff, and we started doing youth ministry. Well, I loved it, and God continued to propel me through that. And by the time I graduated high school, I was in seminary, and I was working with students. And then the opportunity opened for me to go full time, and so we said goodbye to school. We put that on pause for a little while. I packed up my little family, and we responded, and we ended up after a couple years in the Pittsburgh area of Western PA, where we went into full-time ministry. And I remember that first year of full-time ministry, I relied significantly on ideas, to the point that I would look at other youth groups to see what they were doing and mimic their actions or behaviors or events. Probably one of the bigger mistakes maybe I've made. I actually read a book that was all about, it was like 52 ideas. I don't remember the whole title of it, but it was like 52 weeks of ideas. And basically it was these outrageous, crazy things, and you could do one per week as part of your youth ministry. And they were like these huge events that had spiritual, overtones that you could drop into them. So we did a thing called Smash Fest. Maybe you've done something similar to that. You invite kids to bring things to youth group, and then you smash them, and you just have a crazy fun. We did the first year of doing that, and we had kids bring food and all sorts of other items, and we just had a great time smashing things up in the parking lot of the church. It was one of those events that we loved so much. We put it in the calendar for year 2, but we had to elevate it. So what do you do after year 1? Well, you've got to find something really crazy to smash. And just so happened the church had an old piano that they wanted to get rid of. And so there we are in the church parking lot smashing up a piano, And so it was this idea that, what big thing can we do to draw? I remember the one year we built a boxing ring in the youth space, and we had everybody bring pillows, and we had full on pillow fights in the youth room, and it was great. It was a great time, but it was all built on the bigger and better idea of ministry. And I remember going through that book, and by the time we came to the end of the book, we were like, okay, we've done them all. Now what? And it dawned on me that if I was going to be a good youth worker, then I needed to start thinking of myself as a more educated youth worker. And of course, NYWC has played a huge role in my life in that way, in just attending the conventions. But really, it was Doug Fields that impressed upon me that if I wanted to have success in ministry, in youth ministry, then I would have to be a leader that desired to be a learner. And that really kind of pushed me into a place where I started consuming books, no longer idea books. I wasn't interested in, here are, 25 games to play in your next retreat. It wasn't about, here's great ways to survive an all-nighter. It was more, how do we do better at actually leading, structuring, guiding a youth ministry? Everything from what it looks like to recruit leaders, to train leaders, to equip leaders, to commission leaders, all the way down to how do we develop student leaders, and what are we doing to bring them to a place where they're getting a chance to stretch their spiritual wings, so to speak. And so I really became a learner of all things youth ministry, and it really helped to reshape how I thought about what it looked like for me to be engaging students. Yeah, I wanted them to have a great time. It needed to be fun. The big outrageous activities, they're still great in the proper time and place. But youth ministry needed to be more than just a bunch of really great ideas. I wanted a career in this, and I wanted to do it well. And so I want to encourage you guys as we get rolling into this new year to embrace and adopt that thought that leaders are learners, that we need to be continuously working to improve who we are and stretch what we know. And there are tons of great resources that allow us to do those things, whether you're picking up books, whether you're going to conferences and seminars, maybe you're listening to podcasts. Whatever it is that's going to stretch and kind of force you to really develop those, the muscles that are up here, I think it's better for us. I'm a huge supporter of the National Youth Workers Convention because it provides youth workers with a time and a space to be learners. All year long, our ministry is about teaching others and pouring into others, but NYWC is a place where people are pouring into us. It's a chance for us to learn. The trick is to not allow that learning to just kind of stay there, but that we take it home with us and continue learning. I have 2 bookshelves behind me that only have maybe a quarter of the books that make up my full youth ministry library. And they're books, everything from, yes, I still have a few idea and game books, but all the way up to commentaries and seminary textbooks and all sorts of things that have proven to help me become a better youth worker. So I want to encourage you guys as we step into this new year not to settle just on the idea that what you have and what you know is sufficient. It may be sufficient for a little while, but long term, you need to be pushing yourself to constantly be growing and learning. And I know when I started youth ministry, gosh, there were not very many colleges that were offering youth ministry as a major, but nowadays it seems like just about every Christian university or college or Bible school has a youth ministry degree. But my caution is in that just because you have the degree, it doesn't mean that you know everything you need to know about youth ministry. The youth ministry culture is one that is constantly evolving and changing. And we owe it to ourselves, and we owe it to our youth, and we owe it to the families in the church that we serve, that we're constantly growing and changing with that culture. And so it really comes down to us being good learners. Later on my blog, I'm going to actually share some of the books and the resources that have become tried and true for me. You can go back and you can look. One of the first series here in the fall that we did was my 5 top youth ministry resources that I would recommend to other youth workers. I'll put links to each of those in the description. You can go back and watch them, see what books I recommend. But on the blog, I'm going to list some books that are just super helpful, as well as some of my favorite podcasts and some of my favorite speakers. And then, of course, a couple links to some conferences that I think are super helpful for us to be participating in as youth workers. Guys, that's going to do it for today and for this week. I want to thank you so much for watching and hanging out with us as we talk about some things that we can do to start this new year off right. Hopefully one of the topics that we've talked about has been helpful and encouraging to you. As always, leave your comments below. Love to hear what you think about this series. And hey, if there's something that maybe you do as part of your new year routine that we haven't talked about, I'd love to hear that as well. And maybe we'll follow up with another video with that topic in mind. So share those thoughts below. As always, guys, follow us on social media. We'd love to continue this conversation right there on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find us at The Youth Worker Daily. We'll find us at Youth Worker Daily, YTH Worker Daily. You'll see it on the screen right about here somewhere. And of course, visit us at our website, theyouthworkerdaily.com. Guys, that's going to do it for us this week. Thanks so much for watching. You have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week right back here on The Youth Worker Daily.